All right, let's move on now to Pokemon Legends Arceus. This game came out like a couple months after BDSP, and I feel like I'm honestly torn. I don't know if this game's number 1 or number 3.
Wow.
But I think it's number 1.
Wow.
I think it's number 1.
It's number 1.
Wow. It's number 3 for me.
Damn.
I was
It
on
goes
the
to 1.
fence between it and Sword and Shield for number 1. In fact, when I was first doing my list, I put Sword and Shield in number 1, but then when I kind of got to Legends Arceus, I was like, you know what? And the reason I went with Legends Arceus over Sword and Shield is I think both are phenomenal games. You know, we just ranted about Sword and Shield a bit ago, how good we liked it and all. But with Legends Arceus, I have the same level of nostalgia as I do my very first Pokemon game with these games.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Me too. I know why.
I am so
The Japanese region. That's why.
in love with them.
No,
I think so.
No, what it is when we were children, this is what we imagined Pokemon games to be. This is what we imagined Pokemon to be. And I think the games have, because they sold well and they made such an impact, and the first time they made an impact, it was on the Game Boy, right? So for 25 years, every other game was a model of that first version. But I think if we got a Pokemon game whenever this came out in 2022, and this was the first Pokemon game, this would be just as captivating. It definitely wouldn't have spun out an entire franchise.
That's a take.
But I think this game is what a Pokemon game has always felt like. But now we're actually doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I also too, we mentioned maybe this is dumb. Y'all tell me in the comments, especially if I'm the only one who's like this. But I think a big factor of my enjoyment for games also is the hype cycle for them. And the Legends Arceus trailer with Hisui and Braviary is also one of the greatest Pokemon trailers of all time, in my opinion.
Oh, where he jumps off the
the mountain and the music
up.
and all in it is just so
trailer
I
thing.
can remember watching it for the first time. I remember it vividly. My dad had COVID, so I was actually staying with my sister and her husband, and I was sitting on, they have like a little futon that I was sleeping on, and I was, cause this was in the height of the COVID pandemic, and I'm looking at my phone and watching this, and I'm just the whole time just jaw drop.
Wow.
I am stunned by how this game looks. Also, it was cause up till this point, we haven't seen a true evolution since Sylveon. It kind of looked like regional evolutions might be the new way they're doing evolutions now, but nope. There's a Stantler evolution. Also, Growlithe has a Hisuian form. Braviary. Is that an evolution for Basculin? And it's actually the coolest thing I've ever seen? Dude.
It was a great trailer. It was a great trailer. I do agree, but that's kind of an issue actually for me, is that the hype was better than the actual game to me.
No.
This is so random. You guys are throwing me off because I'm like, I get the nostalgia. I get it. I get looking back fondly. But I think it's like those beautiful things and memories aren't the game. Those beautiful things are memories around the game, which is valid and does
right. I don't even want to spend too much time on the hype cycle of it. But
I said, I'm sorry. It's a big part.
No, that's fine. It's not a bad thing. I just mean I hope we're ranking these on the quality of the game and if the games are going to stand up. And I think
I am, but I do think there's a sense of I always make Marvel references, and I do think there's a sense of how much you enjoy something based on the hype around it. I think part of the reason Infinity War and Endgame were such big events were because they were such big events.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
true. Yeah,
and so if you have these really good trailers, it makes me feel like it's an event.
I think this game is so great because it is in every aspect a reinterpretation of the Pokemon formula, right? Even the battles are different, right? For better or worse. And you don't need to like the battles, but you don't need to like the battles, but it's it is a different take. They're quicker, right? Yeah. And I think what's so beautiful about this game, it's been said to death, but it is the gameplay loop. It's the immersion. It's being able to use your Pokemon as tools. I love that the perspective of this game is truly on your character, your human character, and I feel like in previous games, you are the human character, but your Pokemon is what matters. And in this game, you can lose all your Pokemon and still your character is surviving. All your Pokemon can be fainted, and it's actually up to you to rescue them and to get out of your slippery situation and heal your Pokemon before you get killed by an alpha, right?
What's hilarious is you're saying everything that makes me not like this game.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
I don't know what else Pokemon would be other than this. This is like so cool to me.
If
It's
I may.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
Dude, that's awesome.
The Alpha Shiny Ursaring, man. Core memory.
Dude.
Yeah, it was
That's
great.
so cool. I love that you recorded that. That's epic.
It's so
That is
good.
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Like finding an alpha
Yeah.
for the first time, being like, I mean, it's trivial.
We
at
all
this
had
point, the
that moment
Rapidash.
with the Alpha Rapidash. Yeah.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
funny. It's funny that oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. But it's funny that you guys bring up like these things. It's literally the opposite
This is the
of how I
appeal of
feel.
the game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh no, this is what I was gonna say. You saying that is kind of like we've been trying to define a Legends game, and I think that actually defines it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Is that because you brought both of these points in this episode, which is that in Sword and Shield you have the classic like Pokemon view of your character, and in this, in Legends, you are behind the character like this, and closer and focused on the character. I do think that that's probably a defining thing in Legends, like that we'll see in ZA will probably be very similar to that.
You have the open area. You have these like scary boss Pokemon throughout the region. I think another thing is like, I think it was really cool. I feel like the scale of this game is so much smaller. Like geographically, you have all these different biomes to travel to, but there's a professor, and that's the plot. Mostly, right? Obviously, Volo shows up, and I kind of forget a lot of the story.
Oh, the plot's good. The plot's good.
actually
The
pretty
plot's
good,
epic,
Yeah.
but it's like, but I feel like the scope of everything is small. There's one village. That's your village. That's your home
That
base.
sucks. I
think that's cool because as you travel throughout the region and collect Pokemon, you can build up the city and make lasting changes in your save file based on the Pokemon that you give. You can give a trainer, they're like, do you have a Wurmple? And you can give them a shiny Wurmple, which will end up evolving into a shiny whatever, right? And then that's the Pokemon that is there forever. There's people in the field in Jubilife Village who are like, we need a ground type. We need a water type. We need these Pokemon to grow our crops. And when you give them those Pokemon you can now see, your Pokemon, you can see that you're making a difference in the world. Those Pokemon are now over in the overworld. They can be alphas, they can be micro, they can be shiny, whatever, right? And those Pokemon now are making a difference in the world that you live in. And I think that's the kind of stuff that I love in Pokemon. And I didn't even know I wanted it, but now
it was super immersive is what it was.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely, yeah. Like, look at, dude, this is so cinematic as well. When you get into a battle,
this is literally, I was literally gonna be like, dude, look at this. This is what I hate about it.
I don't know how you hate this, dude. This is so
I
cool.
hate that view. I hate it. I
It's
hate not
awesome.
being able to see my Pokemon. Instead, I'm just got this character in front of them.
You can,
You know what I mean?
you can run around.
It's not good like that. I don't like it. So let me just give me my spiel.
I'm not trying to change your mind. Yeah.
of my whole thing with these games. Like, I put at number 3 just because it's not because it's a bad game at all. If this was like a proper tier list, it would be probably an S tier. It's not like that.
What the
it's just
heck,
that
dude? That is insane.
It's just in ranking,
Bro,
ranking
you are
them compared to
crazy.
the other ones.
I mean, I love you guys, but
So
you're
your
crazy
1 and 2
right now.
Listen.
would be S tier as well, right?
Bro.
Yes,
Okay.
probably. So here's the thing. It's just that I am a Pokemon purist, bro. That's it. Like,
All right.
I liked BDSP because it's just Pokemon. You know
That's
what I mean?
valid.
It's not
Yeah,
Let's
I
Go
get that.
Pikachu and Eevee where there's this change that sucks, and I don't want that. You know what I mean? This change doesn't suck as bad, but the gameplay loop got really old to me so quick.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
And it's I love the catching. The catching's great. But the battles from far away like that is not, it's just not the same, and I don't love that. And that's it. I love the atmosphere. I love not really the
vibes.
arts. I love the vibes because it's being a Japanese region. The music, everything is like magical.
Music. Ugh.
The music's so good. There's
and
so
not just
much
the music,
that's
but the
so
sound
good.
design as well. Like when you capture
Yeah.
a Pokemon, you know, I got a playthrough right here. Let's see if the person is talking over it or if it just makes
Probably.
noise. Yeah, he is talking.
We can't hear it anyway. But listen, there's so much that's so good about this game.
The little ball capture, and then you hear the little sparkles.
Yeah. I hope we get something similar in ZA. But anyway, you can, like, there's so much good about this game. Do not get me wrong, because I know I'll get murdered.
Were you saying this would be F tier, or did you say this was going to be S tier?
No, S. I said S.
I heard F tier, and that's why I was like,
no,
calling you
S
crazy.
Tier.
Okay.
No, I think it's a good,
a
good entry, but it's just not what I like.
Not for you. Yeah.
No, not really. And the whole action elements, like, I didn't mind them that much, but a lot of people hated that. It's a different experience, and that's fine, but it's just not gonna be my top game because of that.
And I can understand.
And there are other people
I have
who
heard
are in that line of thinking.
Yeah.
I've met people who have told me, yeah, I picked up Legends Arceus and I thought it sucked.
Yeah, but I think
and
this
they
game.
said the reason why is because it's not Pokemon.
Also,
but it is.
there's another point.
I agree. I'm with you, Dusty. I'm just saying there are a lot of people that are with Soul on this.
Oh my god.
There's another point of, like, what Dusty was saying, that if this was like the first Pokemon game, people would love it and stuff. I was like on the hype at first, right? Because I loved this game until about halfway through, and then I was like, man, this is old already. And like, there's these things that I'm not really liking. I told my friend who doesn't play Pokemon, you got to get this game, because it's like not the same old formula and all that. He played like a couple hours and stopped playing it, and I was just like, dang, man, not even this can win somebody over.
Which is crazy to me, because I'm like, I feel like when I look at this game, this is the game that I think this game appeals to traditionally non-Pokemon players, people who are looking for a more classic game, right? A mainstream game, right? They want action elements. I think with the aiming, the Pokeball, that's kind of like an FPS in a lot of way, right? It's similar, gameplay. It's like pseudo open world, but it still has that charm of Pokemon. It's a darker mood, right? There's darker elements here. I think it appeals to a different type of gamer. Absolutely. So there is a lot of merit in what you're saying. I think a lot of Pokemon fans like Pokemon games because they are predictable, right? People like the wider community complain.
I play Pokemon because I want to play Pokemon.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes totally sense, dude. It's for collecting.
I want the Pokemon experience. I don't want a different one, or I would play a different game. And that's the thing, is this does not compete with other games that are like it, if that makes sense. Like, it's very low level compared. So it's like, it's weird that they tried to do like a mix. I mean, it's good. It is a good game. I feel like,
listen, again, I always go back to I'm so grateful that they gave us a new experience. And you know what? I think I was watching back the initial trailer, right? When they showcase Chibi Dawn, and then they show us the Legends ZA trailer. In that explanation, Legends Arceus trailer, in that explanation, something stood out to me. They had said, like, Pokemon enters a new era, or welcome to a new Pokemon. Like, they said something that signaled to me that I didn't realize before. I was watching this last night, that they were actually confident in this, right? It kind of communicated to me.
Which is funny, because everything about it seems like they weren't. Like, I don't
know if they were actually
there won't be
confident.
another Legends game in this.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if they were actually confident in it, though, because I do think that it was probably a similar thing to Let's Go.
Yeah, where it's
like, if it was successful, then we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I could see Let's Go. I could see the reaction to Let's Go maybe even making them kind of worried for this,
Yeah. But it's so different.
Because it's like, well, the last time we tried something, it wasn't that loved. I want to, while the trainer's running right near it, I want to go ahead and mention this. Dusty, you were talking about building the city.
Yeah.
For me, I like immersion's a big part of it for me. Going by those pastures and being like, there's the Ponyta I just got.
Yeah. It's cool.
You can't beat that.
No, it's so good.
Can't.
And I think there's plenty of things that could have been improved in this game, and we might see some of those things happen in Legends ZA, right? Like, where
love side quest, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about features. Side quests, epic. That's
Incredible.
what we want. We want things to do in the region.
I want them to be better, though.
Lore and add story and life and personality.
The legendary Pokemon, those like hunts for all the legendaries. That is so cool.
I loved that.
And they unlocked so many mythical Pokemon. They made them more accessible in this game. That's awesome. I think the distortion rifts are so cool. Truthfully, I would say, actually, beyond features, I think something that's so cool about this game that we haven't even touched on is so this is the first time, again, it's main series. We see different iterations of the Pokemon universe, but usually we don't consider them canon because they are like a side game, right? But I think in this game, this being a core series Pokemon game, this is the first time that the game takes place in a wildly different time period. And I think why that is really interesting is because we have all this canon, this knowledge, these stories, these Pokemon. We understand how the Pokemon world works current day, basically, right? From in the Pokemon universe from 1996 to 2025. That's like the era that we play Pokemon games and experience the world. It is so cool to play through the Pokemon timeline and get a glimpse into what that was like 100 years prior, right?
Absolutely,
that's why I'm like
agree.
looking at like, awesome. If Legend ZA happens to be 100 years in the future, that is still really, really cool, right? I think what it allows Game Freak to do is expand our understanding of the world, just beyond Legend. These aren't stories. We're playing the actual events of these time periods. They're canonizing these events. I think that is so cool. Yeah, I want more of that. Absolutely. That's why this is.
I agree with that a lot.
But yeah, features, the ancestors. That's another great thing, right? I think also the regional forms are all very specific, not only to they don't feel like type swaps, right? It's not like Vulpix is in the tundra, therefore it's ice type. It's this Pokemon is now able to evolve because of the specific environmental conditions of Hisui in particular. That is awesome.
I want to give Lumi a chance to say something, but I have to say something about this specific note, which is that all of the Pokemon that are in this game were so well designed and well thought out, like culturally. They are so culturally into this time and area, like region. It's just like mind blowing when you get into the depths of like their design elements, and that's one thing I really, really loved. Crazy.
Oh, 100%. And I think we cannot talk about regional forms without talking about the fact that they gave regional forms to starter Pokemon.
Yeah. Dude, oh my God, how did we forget about that?
I do think, too, like, I'm going to be a little biased towards this game because Hisui and Samurott is my favorite Pokemon of all time.
There you go.
And
me too, Scizzor's in this game.
That's fair.
So, but I also do think, too, like, just all of the Pokemon, not all of them, but like a lot of the Pokemon are very, very fun to me. Like, I also love Ursaluna. I love Hisui and Braviary, I think is so cool. I love Hisui and Arcanine. I'm a big Weird Ear fan. Hisui and Zorua and Zoroark are just objectively amazing. And then, again, talking about hype cycle, I know it's not like technically a part of the game, but the reveal of Hisui and Zorua and Zoroark was just so freaking cool.
Yeah, that was epic as well.
That was cool. That was cool. And again, I feel like all those Pokemon are so specific to the region, and then they are explained. Oh, they are. They're explained through the lore, like not the lore, but like they're explained through, for the time being, modern mythology, right? Which is awesome. I don't know. That's so cool. Anyways, and we're not really ranking the Pokemon because I think that's unfair. We haven't looked at any of the other Pokemon, right?
We touched part of the experience. I mean, we touched on it. It's just Breed Diamond, Shining Pearl.
And Let's Go don't have any new Pokemon.
Eevee only gave us one.
Yeah. Not to go back, but I am just curious. Do you think the inclusion of Melmetal in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I don't know, like
was enough?
Well, no. Do you see that as, we didn't really touch on that, but that is a Pokemon that is, I think still has an unknown region. We don't know where it comes from, but
it's not really a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Pokemon, because I challenge you right now, go to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and get a Melmetal. You can't. Yeah, it's all in Go. It's a new Pokemon in Pokemon Go, not Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's what sucked about it, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah.
You can just catch it naturally.
Whereas I feel like, kind of like what we're saying, the new Pokemon in this game felt more purposeful.
Yeah.
And just overall, the story was so good. I mean, dude.
Remind me of the story. I really don't remember. I think I want to stream it soon. Legends.
It was so there are these two teams, or not teams, but clans. The Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan, and basically they both worship a god called Sinnoh. And
dude.
which is such a cool like tease, you know? But one clan believes that Sinnoh is the ruler of space. One clan believes that Sinnoh is the ruler of time.
Cool.
And like
Naturally.
basically there's this whole plot around them. Meanwhile, what's going on is Kamado, he hates Pokemon. Like he does not trust them. His village was burned down by a Pokemon. And so, you know, that's kind of where the first plot comes in. But then in the post game, you learn that basically this was all a manipulation by Volo. The Giratina moment too, I think, is like a what's the thing from
Can we stop? This is actually the
Spider-Man?
best. This is the best part of the game right here. Not being able to go,
Wait,
not being able to go
able
over
to
mountains with weird
Are
air.
you serious? Because he's tripping.
trying so hard.
Continue, yeah.
But what's the thing from the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? A canon event.
Yes.
That's what the Giratina moment. You know that
We all have to experience.
Oh,
it
man.
once. Yeah.
dude, it was, and I love, like, you know, I was talking earlier about the reactions because I do think, and the reason I talk about the reactions to things is like, I do think there is something about the game when it provides this like unity or cohesion with
Community
people.
experience.
It is, and like, and that's the thing is, it's so cool to watch those like moments of like, you know, people playing Legends Arceus for the first time. They're battling the Giratina. They take out the Giratina and they're like, all right, and the Giratina, you know, flips back and then comes back, and it's just like this huge moment, and everyone's talking about it. And I think that shows when like a game has done a great job, right? Is when everyone is talking about the same exact thing from that game and going, dude,
Yeah. That's true.
you know,
And they're not making fun of it. It's not the tree.
right? It's like a genuine like,
Yeah.
this was phenomenal.
So I
gonna
just
give
want to
you-
point up one little thing.
Yeah.
Just this is something that I feel like is missing in the next game, Scarlet and Violet. But traversing this world and seeing these pillars fallen, these ruins, right? I think this is so much more effective than whatever we have in Scarlet and Violet because it is specific to the region, and they're and they're not like this same layout of like blocks or objects, whatever they're called in game design, isn't copy and pasted throughout the region. It feels like every single part of where you can travel in this game is unique, right?
I almost disagree with that. I don't know. I feel like you can find these in another spot.
You
of
can,
this
no,
game.
you can, but it's a different
literally-
layout. It's a different layout of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
It's
I was
like
literally
with
about
Scarlet
to
and
be
Violet, they're
like,
copy paste.
yeah, true. I agree that it's like a little too much in Scarlet and Violet, but I was literally about to just bring up how like a few negatives about this game, which is that it just doesn't really look that great either. It's like very muddy and yeah, no, look at it.
I think
yeah,
this
but
one's
this is
a little
the
muddy.
muddy area.
But
Like,
I don't
this
mean
is-
muddy.
of
I don't
course
mean muddy
this-
like that. I just mean in general, like the graphics, everything. Like people complain about things like that,
Oh,
but then
man.
they
I don't
just
think it's the
forget about.
graphics, but yeah,
They forget about Legends Arceus. You know, like it's not that great looking. In
But
general.
I think
I
it
think
is
what's-
though, man.
No, I hear.
agree.
I think the muddy critique. I hear that all the time, and I think that looking at this, I can kind of agree. But I think why it doesn't matter is because there's still a cohesive art style here, right?
Yeah,
like
but
I feel like
yeah, I don't know if it's great.
I feel that you don't need to prefer it, but
And it is kind of empty. Like people would say, like, you know, the world's empty in Scarlet and Violet, and they say that about here too. Like you don't hear that anymore, but before Scarlet and Violet, people would say, "Oh, it's too empty." Like, and I think,
but
to
how is
me,
it empty? Because
that's
there's so many things
good.
to do.
Well, and it's purposeful. Of course, it's empty. You are in a like pretty much largely uninhabited, unexplored region. It
I
should
agree.
be like that. Whereas,
I agree,
like
but
with
I don't know what
Scarlet and
else-
Violet, it's a modern region with established cities. It's an established country. It's not, so it feels empty to me. Scarlet and Violet feels empty because I know I'm in a modern day first world country, and there's no one here.
Yeah,
But like with this game, it's an unexplored region. I'm expecting it to be empty, and I like that.
I would argue that this game is not these worlds that you traverse in Legends Arceus are not empty because there is always something to collect. The feedback loop of this game is that you need to collect things in order to make things, to heal your Pokemon and to capture new Pokemon, right? Which then you can use to collect more items and traverse to new areas. There's a feedback loop there. And scattered throughout this region are strong Pokemon, like the alphas, rare Pokemon, shinies are amazing. There's also all of these items throughout the region, with the stones and the apricorns and the whatever you want to call it, right? There's like random satchels throughout the region that can help you. You know, that's like a whole little side thing. It's something to do in the game, right? Even with Ursaluna, right? There's hidden items everywhere. I feel like this game is always captivating me. This game does what open world games should do in my, like, at least to me, right? I'm not trying to fight you, Soul, like, to say that your experience is wrong.
Though, actually.
Yeah. But for me, it's like when I played throughout, like, look, what is this? The Old Verse 9? That's a whole like side
those
quest.
Were cool. Those were cool.
That's a whole side quest.
More of that.
You know?
We needed it to be more fleshed out though, like not just reading text, you know? I don't know. Sometimes that's good and some
Sure, but I think that's another thing is I rank these like based off like time period. Like a long time ago, we ranked all the Pokemon games, and
yeah, I know
that was something that I kind of mentioned there is that like it would be hard. You have to kind of rank when talking about Red and Blue. You have to rank those like based off when they came out, because obviously if Red and Blue was a new Pokemon game that came out right now, they would suck. You know,
they would. Yeah,
right.
We're just an indie developer
like
team.
Likewise, right?
We're just
so
indie.
likewise
That's
with
why
Legends Arceus. I feel like I'm ranking this thinking, okay, they're clearly making at least one more Legends game. How do I feel about this being the first entry? And this feels phenomenal. Whereas, like, this makes me hopeful for more. Whereas, like, in comparison, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I was like, oh, please don't make another one of these.
Yeah.
You know?
I do agree with you that, like, a second one is probably going to be better. It's... if they keep these same things about this game. That's the thing. I don't know what Legends or Legends ZA is actually going to do that's the same as this. Like, if they built on this, then it would be a good game, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to build on this. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah. I have played a lot of open world games, and it's just, like, not quite there, this whole thing. Like, that's what I mean with a lot of those things. And I will give you that it's not very empty feeling in two of the areas, but the other two are very empty. So like the like grasslands one and the ice one, the ice one is abysmal for like stuff being in there. And like stuff like this, like we should have moments where there's just characters just around that you can just talk to.
Sure, like if
they're just like randomly
I can get on board with that. Yeah,
there's things about other games
when
like
the NPCs
The
are
Witcher
just chilling,
3.
You know,
I'm talking about The Witcher 3. I'm talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. That's the kind of open world games I'm talking about. That it doesn't, not that it could ever reach that, but also people compare these kind of things.
No, I can kind of get on board because I do think, and I said it as a positive, these games have a smaller scope. They're smaller, right? Geographically, there's like what 4 locations, and then you have like the main town. So I get what you're saying. Like if there was more world to traverse, and the world was filled with more NPCs that you can... I think that lack of NPCs... Lumi made a good point, but I do think the lack of NPCs throughout these biomes... It doesn't
matter the time.
Is a little...
Just be people.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense within the region, but I get what you're saying. It would be cool to like I think it's cool to go meet up with... What's her name? Gita? And it's not Gita. It's the older woman that looks like Cynthia.
Oh,
Kogita.
Close
Yeah.
enough.
So you're close.
Like, I think it's cool that she's chilling and she has like a little hut. I think it'd be cool if all of the different the Diamond and Pearl Clan huts, right? There was more to do with those locations.
Oh, absolutely.
That would be kind of cool, right?
One.
If you could then, if there were people there that you could like then battle. Like, I'll give it to you. I think this game is great in the moment. I think it brought a lot to the series and has shown us what we now want to see and what could be possible for future Pokemon titles. But I will give it to you. I do think that these games are better in the campaign, but once it's like, but there could be some hindrances, right? And maybe when we play Legends ZA, we'll be looking back at this like, Like, come on, they dropped the ball. This game's nothing compared to Legends. It totally happened.
I am hopeful for Legends ZA in the sense that like them picking megas means that it should be more battle focused. A big complaint I have about this game is that there's like 2 trainer battles. There's like you literally fight Adamant and Irida, and that's about it. Like there's not a lot. And that's one of the things I really like about Pokemon. Is Pokemon the battles. So yes,
dude,
absolutely.
The space-time distortion. Hold on, there's a little gameplay footage right here of a space-time distortion. I gotta pull this up.
There's one other thing that would improve these games to me, and that would be, hopefully this is fixed in Legends ZA as well, since Kalos had such a big dex. One of the reasons that the gameplay loop got boring to me is that I got to the 3rd place and I'm like, oh, I have to catch the same Pokemon again, because there wasn't so many. Yeah,
these are different play styles. That's the whole point of the game.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I get to a new area and there's like not any new Pokemon to catch there. Does that make sense? Like, I'm hoping that there's a bigger dex.
Oh yeah.
Because
all we had was the Sinnoh dex and then a couple extras.
Yeah, I just wanted to catch
I get what you're saying. No, I think that is
ones.
I think that is a totally fair criticism. I think the dex is very small, and when all the Pokemon that you encounter are in the overworld, it does get a little I think it's
like when you go to a new area, you expect something new. And then it's like, oh, it's a Glameow again. You know.
How many times?
I think that's valid. I'm 100% like I think that's valid. So when I say like my counterpoint, I'm not like arguing against you because it's valid, but I'm just saying the thing that didn't bother that about it for me was that it felt to me like I don't know. Sorry, I completely lost my train.
No, yeah, bro, that happens to me all the time.
But I think that like with Legends Arceus, it actually was what we heard about, where it's high quality animations.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so that felt like, you know, these Pokemon are doing more in the world.
Yeah.
So it felt more acceptable.
Yeah.
I guess, if that makes sense.
I think this game's really
the dex being shorter.
Really innovative in a lot of ways, and I think that's why I put it at number 1, because not only is it taking a risk, not only is it doing something unique in experimenting with the formula, but I think it also is a good game and it will be fun when I've replayed it before, but it's still been a while since I've played it, like through the story. I think this game is going to stand up. I think this game, again, is an image of what Pokemon games will look like in the future. I think there's always going to, I think we're going to get more Legends games that are action RPGs, and then we're always going to get the main series games, which are like Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. And Scarlet and Violet is so different from Sword and Shield, you know? Yeah, I don't know. We're not even done yet, but I'm looking forward to the Switch 2 era. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of cool stuff. Like, I think we're going to get more BDSP style of games. I really do. And they're going to be better. We're going to get more Legends games. They're going to be better.
As long as they're better, then we're good.
Yeah, I think
now with BDSP, I think like the bar for improvement for Legends is a lot shorter than the bar for improvement. Like when we say better for Legends Arceus, it can be better, but like for Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, it's got to be a lot better.
I just wish BDSP had like a creative vision. Sure. And it doesn't have a creative. It feels it. That's why I said like AI.
It feels like a cash grab.
It literally is like, ooh, they bought this. Let's just like put a glaze of, like cheap, whatever the polish is. Let's just make it 3D, but it's the same exact game. And it's like, okay, well,
I would love to see the timeline.
Where's the charm?
I would love to see the timeline where Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl wasn't released. And so because it wasn't released, Legends Arceus was our holiday game.
Yeah.
And there wasn't because, you know, a large part of the Pokemon fan base is going to be like kids who are interested in the games.
Yeah.
And so their parents are going to be like, no, I'm not buying you a Pokemon game. I just bought you a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
So I'd love the timeline where this is the Pokemon game they just bought. I'd love to see what those numbers look like.
Maybe if the 15 million sales that BDSP did, if like half of those were put into Legends Arceus, and now
even less than that, a third of them, you know?
Yeah, and then Legends Arceus all of a sudden is selling, you know, is in the like B tier of highest selling games of all time, you know, Pokemon games.